Sharma, wash consultant from industry. Now, in afternoon session, we have speakers Dr. Debashish Mandal from ICR Dehradun and Professor Ashish Agarwal from IIM Lucknow. So we are very much thankful to our speakers for accepting our invitation. Um, so today in this second half session, Dr. Neha Sharma, another faculty colleague of me, assistant professor at IIM Sirmaur in tourism department. She will moderate the session. Dr. Neha is a faculty here, and she has done her PhD from HB and Agarwal University in tourism. So over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So now I would like to invite Dr. Arpita Ghosh to share her views on today's topic. But before that, I must introduce her to you all. Dr. Ghosh is presently working as assistant professor at IIM Sirmaur. She has obtained her PhD from IIT Delhi and completed her MTech from NIT Durgapur. Her research interest includes rural development, environmental management, and sustainability. She has published various research papers in highly reputed journals. Ma'am, please. Arpita ma'am, you are not audible.
Thank you for your introduction, ma'am. I'm starting my short views on this topic. So my subject is also related to sustainability, environment management, and sustainable tourism. So I views of the same. Uh, 2000 to 2015, and that time the child health, maternity health, then AIDS, all these issues were more prominent. Dengue, malaria, all this. So but yes, from 2015 we have little bit we could improve our health sector a little bit, and so from 2015 this dengue, malaria, all these disease focus have been reduced a little bit. So here we have the different 17 goals related to no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable clean energy, because clean energy means renewable energy, of course, which is and clean means it is not polluting our environment or causing air pollution, because fossil fuel burning, of course, it is emitting lots of toxic gases, greenhouse gases, which is responsible for global warming and climate change. Now, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, infrastructure, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, and responsible consumption and production. This is another important SDG, very much important SDG, that is SDG 12, which says that mindless consumption, mindless destruction of resource we should reduce, rather than we need to go for mindful, responsible consumption. So not linear material management, that I'm taking the resource, making and just dispose of. This linear economy or linear material management will not at all will be helpful to achieve sustainability, and it is of course wastage of many resources. Rather, we need to go for the circular economy, which says continuously you need to go for reduce, reuse, recycle, and then again reuse it, repurpose it for the same. So no material is actually waste if you are giving it, you know its value. So everything is resource here. So plastic is also have some resale value. Similarly, the tin cans all have some resale value. So, and also if you are doing waste segregation, the organic waste, the vegetable waste can go for further biogas production, further biocomposting, all these things. So responsible consumption and production too much required for to achieve circular economy in our country. And 13 is climate action, 15 is below life below water and life on land. So life below water and life on land is also are very important goals to sustain the biodiversity on earth. So only human cannot survive in this world. They need the plants or fish, all this biodiversity for their own survival, for their food security, all these things, and also oxygen we require from plant. And now peace, justice, strong institution, and partnership for the goals. This is the 17 goals of SDG we have. Now sustainability has three main pillars: economic, environment, and social. These three pillars are informally referred to as people, planet, and profits. As in first up also I told that business is not only for making profit, rather you are in business, we are taking the resource from people. People means our society. So human resource, customer, all are from society. And environmental resource, that is natural resource or raw materials, we are taking from planet. So this two people and planet both needs to be served well, as we are taking. So it is not only one way taking, we need to serve them as well. So if your society or local community is not happy with your business or with your industry, then naturally your company image will be hampered, and people will not wish to work for your industry. So naturally you need to serve something, donate something, or work for the social cause somehow. So people, planet, if they are served well and they are happy, then only we can go for the long term profit. It is not only one time cash flow, it is actually long term profit we should focus for. And if this is these people and planet both are in well balanced, well served, then naturally your profit will come from the business, and it will sustain for a long. So, instead of taking three overlapping sustainability models, or three tool model of sustainability, I took this picture of three nested model, that is saying environment is our home, environment is our nest of everything. So business is also being nested in this environment, in this planet, and we cannot consider environment as an external factor here. So environment first, then society, your people is happy, society people is happy, then last priority is economy. So not only for economic profit, we can destroy the society or environment, and it is right now very much required, because we this time we have too much pollution. We have seen also the exponential population is continuously destruct all these natural resources, because we are consuming all the resources, and then naturally make dispose. So we are something we are disposing of after the resource consumption. So it's in this linear material management, it will not sustain for a long. We need to go for circular material management. Now, in business sustainability refers to doing business without negatively impacting the environment, community, or society as a whole. Sustainability in business generally addresses two main categories: the effect business has on the environment and on the society. So the goal of sustainable business strategy is to make a positive impact on at least one of those areas. When companies fail to assume responsibility, the opposite can happen, leading to issues like environmental degradation, inequality, and social injustice. So, sustainable business consider a wide array of environmental, economic, and social factors when making business decisions. These organizations monitor the impact of their operation to ensure that short-term profit don't turn into long-term liabilities. So, for instance, the business should be sustainability in a business. It should be sustainable materials in manufacturing process. So sustainable materials means you need to reduce your resource consumption. So how you can reduce it? Naturally, wastivity will be low and productivity will be more. So through operation, strong operation management, through more resource efficiency, through more your material machines efficiency, you can achieve that. That is wastivity as much you can low, and then the productivity will be increased. Now, optimizing supply chains to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So greenhouse gas is such a gas that which can trap the heat energy within its molecule for a long time, and naturally through this the surroundings temperature, it can increase. So CO2, carbon monoxide, water vapor, methane, all are these major greenhouse gas which cause global warming, and then the climate change also occur. Now, relying on renewable sources to power facilities. So yes, 2070. So in COP26. Our PM also focused on to achieve zero carbon emission by 2070. Through only renewable energy we can go for, and sponsoring education funds for youth in the local community. It's not only for youth, it can be for child and also for women empowerment. So your society people or community people can be happy. Now, SDG 12 and circular economy. So circular material management is to shift the paradigm to proactive material management. This means thinking about managing material before any waste is produced. Instead of thinking of our system as linear models to produce, consume, and dispose, consider byproducts and discards as input to other systems, mimicking what we observe in nature with cycles of nutrients. So this is the linear economy and this is the circular economy. So time already we are in the high time. We should consider only circular material management, which is saying continuously we go for recycling, reuse, and nothing is for throwing. Actually, no resource. Now, CSR and sustainability. So CSR is also another activities corporate social responsibility. Through CSR Act, Companies Act 2013 in India, it's introduced first, and so CSR is the idea that a business has a responsibility to the society that exists around it. Firms that embrace CSR are typically organized in a manner that empowers them to be and act in a socially responsible way. So CSR and sustainability both focus on an organization's effort to contribute positively to environment and social impacts. So now, which company is doing more good in CSR? Naturally, we know the name of Tata, Infosys, Mahindra, all these companies reputed for CSR. So their stakeholders, customers, employees, all are happy. So they attract more people towards it. So you are giving to society, and society becoming more attracted to it. So naturally, it's a long-term relation, and of course it is giving you the brand image, marketing. Sometimes it is marketing differentiation strategy as well, that my company is doing good in CSR, or it has some environmental standards, it is following some environmental standards, so or eco labels, so it is somehow differentiating your business than others. And for a long term existence in this competitive market, the business required it. So CSR has different dimensions like green marketing, climate change, deforestation, social responsibility, health safety, poverty, education, consumer protection, all this, and also quality of work life. Now, benefits of CSR. Most firms are driven to embrace CSR due to moral conviction, and doing so can bring several benefits. CSR initiatives can, for example, be a powerful marketing tool helping a company position itself favorably in the eyes of consumers, investors, and regulators. CSR initiative can also improve employee engagement and satisfaction. Such initiative can even attract potential employees who carry strong personal conviction that match those of the organization. Finally, CSR initiative by their nature force business leaders to examine practices related to how they hire and manage employees, source products or components, and deliver value to customers. So this is your society happy, environment happy, so your business will run for a long, and we will be in the sustainable world. So without wasting much time, I am stopping here and inviting the next speakers to speak on this issue. So yes, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Neha ma'am, Dr. Neha, for giving me this chance to speak. Now over to you, ma'am.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Ghosh. Now, we privileged to have such a distinguished speaker, Dr. Debashish Mandal, Senior Scientist, ICAR, Dehradun. Dr. Debashish Mandal received MSc degree in soil science with major in soil chemistry from GBPTU 80 Pantnagar in 1994, and the PhD degree in physical chemistry of soil in 1999 from IARI New Delhi. Dr. Debashish currently holds a renowned post of ICAR National Fellow and Principal Scientist since 2014 at the faculty of ICAR Dehradun. He worked as a visiting scientist at CMASC at Ohio State University, Colombo in 2013 and conducted research with Professor Ratan Lal, the World Food Prize winner for the year 2020. Presently, his H index is 18 and I index is 26. Dr. Debashish has around 70 peer reviewed articles in scientific journals and was involved in organizing various national and international conferences, in which 6 conferences were exclusively on farmers first for conserving soil and water conservation, covering the entire country. Ladies and gentlemen, we really get this kind of opportunity to listen the word of such great personality like Dr. Debashish. So let us have the privilege of listening him. Sir, please.
Very much, and good afternoon, everybody. So we have given very nice introduction about me, and thank you to Dr. Arpita for giving me this opportunity, not only for my presentation, but also for listening the others. Since morning I was connected with this seminar, and I really got the opportunity to heard some different dimensions of the sustainability sciences. Of course, as introduced by Mrs. Neha Sharma, that I am working in Indian Institute of Soil and Water Conservation. So our mandate is basically the soil and water conservation aspects. And without soil and water, human existence is not possible. And this year issue is restoring earth and the invest on the planet. These big issues are there. So I'll just talk about the main issues about how the restoration of degraded land is so important nowadays, because it's a very old problem, but urgency is felt in the recent times, and why this urgency is there, and what precautions should be taken, and how the attention should be given to these such issues. Just let me give the access to share my slides, because I always believe that seeing is believing. So to understand
Yes, sir. I have given you this. Right.
Okay. So just is it visible? No. Is it visible?
Yes, it's visible.
It is
Yes.
in slide mode, or it is in presentation mode?
Not yet presentation. Now it's in presentation mode. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Good. See, in our the spiritual literature, even some scientific literature and mythology, we say that the earth is our mother earth. So when we just say this mother earth, that means we are comparing this earth with some living entity, that too a mother, who wears, who cares, and who rears its children, correct? So earth is, if the mother or a living entity, then what is its soil? Soil is mother's womb, because a fertile soil always produces. And over the period of time, throughout our civilizations, and when humans started first cultivation, Homo sapiens started first cultivation maybe around 11,000 to 12,000 years ago, Neolithic stage, when they got some equipments of the rock and stones, then they're disturbing the soil surface. So since then, actually, our soil is disturbed and not sustainable, because soil formation is very slow process and soil loss is very fast. So these slides, I wanted to show you that if the topsoil is eroded, it is very difficult to reverse back that same soil and same situations. It is not the quantity, but it is the quality which matters. If topsoil is eroded and subsoil is coming as a surface soil, that subsoil is not very productive in terms of organic carbon content, in terms of nutrient content, in terms of water holding, and the favorable environment which is needed for the root growth and biomass productions. So the top few centimeter really matters, because after removal of the few first top centimeter, if the soil is there, even meters of soils are there, 10 meters of soils are there, that is not that much productive. So we have to protect this topsoil. And many situations are there, particularly in the hilly slopes and undulating situations where intensive cultivation is going on. There, usually every year, even a centimeter soil is eroded, and it cannot be replaced by some technology or conventional technologies. But the good things are there, that even some nature-based solutions are there, plant-based and some agronomic and vegetative measures are there, which really helps in healing the land. So this type of things, that we call it maybe the green practices, or even the climate smart practices, or reverse land degradation through nature-based solution, whatever you can speak. Now problem is, see, this is not new problem. This is as old as the civilizations, but the rate of acceleration is very fast. And earlier the population was very less, so they had a habit of shifting cultivation. Say they started removing the forest, then fire, then started cultivation. Then when the fertility is degraded, then they wanted to shift to some other places, again start cultivation. But we don't have the luxury of the lands nowadays. So there is no further expansion scope, and there is always competition for the land uses, and other demands are there, of course, other than agriculture, than forestry, industry, road, construction of buildings, everything is there. So we don't have the luxury to spare these lands. Nowadays, whatever land is there and marginal land is there, degraded land is there, we have to use these in a better way, in a sustainable manner, so that our demand for the biomass and food, fodder and feeds is met out from the existing land, and not that we will go for the expansion of the other places. So why this situation and urgency? See, we call many times the green revolution, maybe the late 60s or early 70s onwards. Green revolution was basically the dwarf variety, high yielding varieties of rice and wheat, and then fertilizer, chemical fertilizers and irrigation. So this technology was green, but you all realize this green revolution is no more green, and it is now is a gray revolution. So that's why the attention is more that we should think about the substitutes of these so-called chemical use of the fertilizers and the pesticides. And some of the participants are really, I hope they are aware of the silent spraying by ritual Carsons. So to protect our environment, we have to be very careful. And soil is an open system. Try to understand. It is thermodynamically, it is an open system. So whatever we are doing in our field, it is actually affecting the whole world, globe. Not that क्या फर्क पड़ता है, हम अगर आप अपने खेत में प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर रहे हैं तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? फर्क पड़ता है because the moment carbon is released from the soil surface and it is coming to the atmosphere, it is creating global greenhouse gases. The pesticides and the fertilizer going through the runoff water, and it is polluting the water bodies in the down slopes, and eutrophication, and a lot many environmental problems are there. So this is another problem, that it is not just restricted to the field or a region, but it is a global issue. And if we don't care at the beginning, then it will be further expanded, like the other side I am showing. It is called ravine. So it will take a shape of this, where a single piece of single blade of grass cannot be grown. So that is a very big challenge. So better to manage at the early stage when the early signs are shown. And if we take care of that, then we can really manage. This I wanted to just share that there were earlier many civilizations which flourished for thousands of years. Then they collapsed, because this is a history, and many of you have read in the history what are the reasons. One of the important reasons was misuse and misutilizations of the soil and water. So just not to repeat, but history repeats itself. We should learn the lesson from the history. But human beings are such a species, they thought that they can dictate the nature. And in the morning, Dr. Arpita and the other speakers, they are talking about the harmony between nature and the human. It is good to hear, but it is very difficult to do, because human is such a species that they try to dictate the nature, and they thought they are the authority and they will dictate. But one day will come when everything is collapsed, then there is no opportunity for their own survival. Like dinosaurs disappeared, maybe the human species will also someday they will disappear, and some other species will be there, and they will realize, oh, human species were there once. This is about the history, but see, this is one data by between 1870 to 1945, 75 years period. And this survey was conducted by the then Royal Commission of Agriculture. Of course, the colonial government, British government, but they have a very good habit of survey. And they said that in Solapur districts of Maharashtra, almost in 75 years period, 17% of the land lost about 25 centimeters of soil depth. And 1 inch soil formation takes thousands of years. And I just collected for the same district how much is the today's data. And it is just saying that about 35% is now having the problem of less than 25 centimeter of soil depth. Earlier, during 1870, it was more than 50 centimeter, but it is now less than 25 centimeter. Likewise, in our area where I am working in Uttarakhand, in Agarwal, there are stories that, and it is our own experience, that between 40 to 50 years, a watershed which were earlier very productive in terms of potato and vegetable, now nothing is there, only stones are there, even grasses are not there. Same stories are there in northeastern hilly regions. And not only the scientists and the agricultural farmers and the practitioners realize it, but some spiritual leaders like our the Sadhguru, he also now started campaign that the earth under you is dying, and he is now taking a campaign and movement of 30,000 kilometer ride of by bike. So he will start his journey from London, and Boris Johnson will say farewell, and it will end in India, maybe received by our Prime Minister. So they are also talking about save soil, because without these saving soil, civilizations cannot be saved. And he has many other activities related to the conservation of soil, water, plantation, all these things. Another spiritual guru is that's Dalai Lama. He said that the dangerous side of soil erosion and degradation is so severe, it is more dangerous than the nuclear weapons. Because nuclear weapons, the repercussions start then itself. But soil erosion impact is so slow. The moment we realize that something is wrong, it is too late to recover. That's why the repercussions are more dangerous. So today's challenge is different. In the morning, maybe one speaker, Shruti, maybe she was discussing that Einstein's quote, correct? So that the same thinking is not going to help. So today's problem cannot be solved by yesterday's technology. So today's problem is to be solved by today's updated technology, and that updated technology, whether it is really sustainable or it is a green technology, sometimes very over enthusiastically we say it is a green technology like biofuel, but biofuels, many aspects are there. In life cycle analysis, it is not green. Many biofuel aspects are not really green. So really this today's challenge is something different than the yesterday's. And today's problem is not just production, but also the environment, soil, water, biodiversity, and you know the 17 sustainable development goals. But interestingly, if we take care of soil and water, almost 12 sustainable development goals are directly or indirectly is addressed. So that's why perhaps in the global level, three things are very important that I will show you in the some of the slides after some time. The three problems, the trilemma, we can say it. So the degradation problem, I just try to understand that in the next 25 years, it will have an impact that the 12% less production, but population will be more by 2050. Almost we need double of our productions. So, and land's expansion is not, the scope of expansion is not there. So degraded land, if it's continue business as usual, then the impact will be 12% less of production. So how to make it more productive and sustainable production aspect, how we can make it. The important thing here is that anything, if you want to manage, you have to measure. This is the basic thumb rule. So measure is actually treasure. So sometimes we know, okay, something is there, soil quality, but what aspect of soil quality, whether it is physical aspect, chemical aspect, or biological aspect. The soil is a living thing, not that soil is an inert thing. And soil is the only place in this universe where death is converted to life. Please try to realize that also. It is a philosophical statement, but who realizes they are really awakened like Buddha and all. So Buddha to Buddha, we can come if we realize that if death is converted to life, and the only place in this universe is the rhizosphere, that is the root soil interface area, and microbes are there, they are helping. And these measurement, of course, we have the tools and techniques, but sometimes our own concept, scientific conflicts are there. So I will just give one example, then I'll go forward. Say we call the land is degraded. Why it is degraded? They call it acid soil, saline soil, and then degraded land because of erosion. In entire northeastern Himalayan regions, starting from Meghalaya, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh, Tripura, whatever, soil is acidic, correct? Maybe sometime it is so severe acidic, the pH level is less than even 4.5. But their vegetation, natural vegetation is so luxuriant that even NDVI is not going to help that there is some problem. Rubber, tea, coffee, pineapple, citrus, many good crops can be grown there. So it is not at all a degraded land. Only thing is that when we are removing that vegetation, and going for cultivation of monocropping, rice, wheat, maize, wheat, vegetable, potato, then the problem is there because it cannot be sustained. So in the nature, there are some plants which are resistant. Their rhizosphere is so beautifully engineered with the system that they will modify the rhizosphere pH and they can survive and extract the nutrient. For others, it is a problem. So this immune system is there, and this immune system is not equal for all. So try to understand that if we are measuring, that same tool is not going to help. And most of the time we are doing that. If some nutrient deficiency is there, okay, apply NPK. But NPK mentality is not is helping, because there are 17 essential nutrients, not just that NPK is going to help. Anyway, there are some issues of soil health. It's in soil quality. We call it quality. Quality and quantity both are very important, and some band-aid technology is not going to help anymore. So that's why we are talking about sustainable technology. So band-aid technology, if anybody wants explanation, I can just help. Band-aid means when there is some wounds, we just use a strip of band-aid, correct? But if wound is really deep, band-aid is not going to help. And in case of degradation, it is really deep. So we need some special treatment. And that's why we call it nature-based solution, which really helps from below. That is root. Root zone is going to help root architecture, then organic acids, soil aggregate formation, then nutrient, then earthworm. All this setup is the ecology, soil ecology. If you ignore it, then you just go for band-aid technology. It will help you for short run, but actually in long run, it is affecting the entire system. So there are really serious thought like stop and reverse the land degradation. Then land degradation neutrality is one of the target said by our Prime Minister also, and it is Sustainable Development Goals 15.3, zero net land degradation. Like Dr. Arpita was telling, zero net emission by 2070. Our Prime Minister said this target by 2030, that 26 million hectare of degraded land should be brought under zero land degradation levels or neutral land degradation level. So but there are problems, we know that problem, and we go for some solution, immediate solution. That is not going to help. So that's why I want to show here DPSIR, driving force, pressure, state, impact and response. This is a framework. Sometimes we give focus on the state, response and impact without considering the driving force and pressure. So if really it is to be sustainable, then we have to also address that driving force and pressure, which is actually creating the problem. So we would like to know the root causes, not just that this is the problem. Okay, what are the ready-made solution? You give some solution for that. Like if the fever is there, we sometimes take paracetamol, but fever may be because of some other problem. So try to find out that problem and treat it. Otherwise, it is not going to help in a long run. This soil problem, sedimentation problem, is also a problem of water. There are water reservoirs, and if sediment is coming and deposited in the reservoirs, at the time of the construction of different dams, their lives were also decided. But very unfortunately, situation is that almost life is reduced by the 50% because of this sedimentation. So there is no dredging, and dredging is not economically feasible option. So only option is the treatment of the catchment where from the sediment is coming to the dams. So that is very easy, and nature-based solutions are there for catchment treatment. You can call it watershed or development, or you can call it river basin or the catchment area treatment, whatever names. But this is the easiest approach. But sometimes we are not taking care, and then when the problem is there, like DVC, Damodar Valley Corporation, every year there is a problem of flood, and there is blame of our Chief Minister of West Bengal to DVC. Then DVC is saying it is what to do because we have to protect our dam, we have to release water. And because of the sedimentation, we are losing almost 6 million hectare irrigation facility. So because of this reduced capacity, we are not able to hold the storage of water. Otherwise, this water can be utilized for irrigation. So that is also another problem. Storage capacity is reduced. And if 1 millimeter, 1 hectare soil loss is there, means if 1 hectare area, 1 millimeter soil loss is there, it is not visible by the naked eyes, or even expert cannot realize that something is wrong in terms of soil depth. But 1 millimeter, 1 hectare is 15 tons, and this 15-ton soil contains, on the lesser side, very conservative estimates, it may be even more. Carbon of around 225 kg, then nitrogen 25 kg, and phosphorus around 1 kg, and potassium around 11 kg, and so. So if I want to replace this carbon through compost, nitrogen through urea, and phosphorus from single superphosphate chemical fertilizer, potassium through MOP, and so on, then some additional cost is there just to replace this. And it is never perceived that a 1 millimeter is really creating a problem. But if it is continue for 10-15 years, then we realize the situation which I am showing in the background. It was the same area where 40-50 years it was very productive. And terraces, you can see the impressions of the terraces are there. But now the stones are there and even grasses are not there. So this is the situation, and the quote I told you earlier, Dalai Lama's quotation. If some soil degradation is there, actually there are different functional problems. Multiple soil functions are disturbed. Infiltration of air and water is also there in the soil profile. Preservation of soil moisture. It is not that soil is just simple the sand, silt, clay, and organic carbon and nutrient. Soil also holds water, and if there is a depletion of carbon, carbon is like a sponge, it holds water. So it holding of water is also reduced. And if I want to just replace that water through irrigation, how much will be the cost involved? So likewise, we tried to just show you that how much is the depletions of different functions in terraced agriculture if I compare with the adjoining forest. So likewise, every landscape we tried to show this is a data, but organic matter supply and nutrient cycling, you see everywhere there is significant difference. So for this, there are nature-based solutions. Only little bit care we have to take. Maybe cover crop we have to grow, some intercrop we have to grow, some intervention of pulse will be introduced. Then there are some mulch and crop residue. Simply by this, if we continue, then we can manage this type of problems. If there is a cumulative loss, because if it is slight level, it is very difficult to realize that something is wrong. But if 1,000 ton of soil is removed, topsoil, and subsoil is exposed, then it is almost, in terms of centimeter, it is 7 centimeter topsoil. If it is eroded, it is a non-renewable resource. Earlier, there was concept that soil is a renewable resource, but now in a human time scale, soil is non-renewable resource. Same is the fresh water also. So just try to understand, if we get something granted, we take something granted, that soil and water will be there, rainwater will be there, solar radiation will be there, every morning there will be sunshine. But if tomorrow onwards, if sun says, okay, my job is over, tomorrow onwards I will not appear. So if alternative arrangement we have to make, solar radiation arrangement we have to make by just electricity, how much will be the cost involvement per hectare? We get it free, we take it granted. The soil is also we take it granted. Water within the soil, take it granted. But when the functional things are not there, we realize that something is wrong. But it is too late. So before that, if some early signal is there, please take care of that and pay attention so that it will be a renewable resource. It is not that it cannot be. It can be. It can be reverse also. Before it is reaching to irreversible state, let it be that management aspect is there. That what are the management, a little bit intervention is required. Here also I just want to highlight that invest on the planet doesn't mean investment in terms of finance, in terms of capital. No, invest on the planet means even in the knowledge, some intervention, some little bit of lifestyle change, or some agronomic practices, little bit change of that practices is also is investment, and which is a huge investment from individual level, from community level to sub-national level and national level, like that. and try to understand that if 1000 1000 ton of cumulative soil loss is there, it is actually equivalent to 17 millimeter of available water, and which is equivalent to almost 850 kg of grain loss. So this much, if I want to replace through irrigation, there will be huge cost of the dam construction, then canal, then pump, then distribution of water, everything. So this is so much of the cost. Just simple manner, it is like this. So this is the trilemma: land degradation, climate change, and biodiversity loss. Correct? Major things are there, and people are talking about at the global level these three things. And whether land degradation is causing climate change, or climate change is causing land degradation, or climate change is causing biodiversity loss, or biodiversity loss is causing climate change. Just try to understand. This Trimurti has a interaction and interactive effect on each and everything. If there is land degradation, there is huge impact of climate change. And if there is climate change, then it is again inducing land degradation. Likewise, the biodiversity loss. So this vicious cycle, if we are not addressing, and if we are mostly silos, we are taking the approaches and the research and development. Say, for example, our institute, main focus is soil and water, not that biodiversity aspect. Some little bit climate change, everybody is talking about climate change. So we are also talking about climate change. That is not our major mandate. So these things we have to take in a holistic manner. That's why some collaboration is required, because everybody is not having the sufficient expertise on everything. So collaboration is there, connective. We all realize this, but in practical sense, only we talk, we organize seminar, then we forget. So this is actually the soil erosion and climate change framework. I am not going to explain in detail, but see, if there is erosion, there is climate change. If there is climate change, again, it is enhancing the soil erosion. And I will be going a little faster because time is also approaching. So this aspect, actually, climate means rain, water, some intensity and quantity of rain is also increasing. In a simple manner, if I say, if there is 10% quality and intensity increase in rainfall is there, it will be having 20% more of soil erosion. This is already modeling aspect is done in our institute and also at global level. So in the coming future, the severity of the problem will be even much more because of climate change. In our India, just one data I want to show you, that if there is erosion and there is some displacement of about 4.87 this billion ton on petagram, PG is petagram is 10 to the power 15 gram. So 10 to the power 15 is nothing but 1 billion ton. So almost you can say that 5 billion ton soil loss is there. Out of this 5, almost 115 million tons of carbon replacement is there, because soil contains carbon. TG is teragram, 10 to the power 12, and it is nothing but million ton. So one TG is 1 million ton. So out of these, almost 30% is emitted as a carbon dioxide, and it is contributing to the atmosphere. That is 34.6 million ton. So erosion-induced carbon emission is almost 35 million tons every year. This is annual. It is not one time. Every year there is the contribution of erosion-induced carbon emission, and these can be stopped by very easy approaches of nature-based solution. That will come. So the question here, whether there is a peak soil like peak oil, peak rocks, peak raw materials. Already we realize that we have reached that peak. So yes, there is some peak of soil, particularly top soils. So there is like radioactive isotopes. There is half-life. We have the concept of soil life and soil half-life. The productive phase of half-life we are now calculating that for different region, what is the half-life of the soil, so that it helps in sustainable technology strategies and approaches in the decision making. These you all know that sustainable soil management, replace, respond, and predict what will happen. So these are the three things. There are some technologies which makes even the net soil formation or near neutral, but conventional practice is always giving negative. That means if there is soil loss and at the same time there is soil formation. So there is a negative balance. So there is a deficit. But this deficit can be met out by some native vegetation, some cultivation practice like conservation agriculture. It is also near zero. So these approaches are there, not that. And what are the approaches? There is soil loss tolerance limit. So we should just understand that everywhere soil erosion cannot be equally, say 10 tons or 15 tons. No, there are some places where only 2.5 is very critical, like pink areas. You can see, and this is geospatial map in the form of digital map, it is available. So then this red color shows that only 5 ton per hectare per year can be allowed. If soil erosion is more than that, we have to take care. The green area, of course, you can allow some 12.5 tons annual soil loss. If it is more than that, then you have to take some special precautions. So if I compare erosion with tolerance, then I can understand what is the risk areas and how much is the risk. So prioritization we can do, priority area 1, 2, 3, 4, like that we can do. And this map is also prepared. And these are the green technologies. Say why we are talking about green technologies. Because green technology, only that soil and water conservation is not the two things, but additional ecosystem benefits are there. So that's why they are sustainable. Say, for example, if I apply cover crop or some intercrop, then surface roughness is increased, rain splash is reduced, runoff velocity is reduced. So mode of accumulation and it will recharge the groundwater. Then plant root growth is very good. Organic matter, root carbon addition, below ground carbon, and some perennial above ground carbon accumulation is there. So carbon sequestration is also there. Then soil aggregate stability, soil structural and architectural buildup is also there. So that is also another additional benefit which creates the pore space to hold water for oxygen supply and diffusion of oxygen. That space is created. Then biological nitrogen fixation by some intercrop or cover crop. Otherwise, this nitrogen we have to supply from external sources like urea. Then infiltration is increased. Surface temperature is modified. So this is also another problem, that these are all climate smart in terms of temperature, in terms of water, soil temperature regime and moisture regime we can modify by this vegetative measure. So that's why we talk about the green technologies. Likewise, the agronomic measures are there. What are these? And just some data is there, but I am not going to elaborate here. See, when we are growing crop, 2 row crops, between the row, the space is open. So this open space during rainy season, you can just see the impression, how much is the water loss and the erosion, soil erosion. But simple intervention, if I just put 2 green manure crop of sunhemp in between two maize, and if I cut it after 35 to 40 days, it is green manure. It helps protection of the surface, soil, and it is recycled back in making some carbon and nutrients. So this technology is so good and so important. 7 years experiment says that almost organic carbon at the control level, it was just 0.6, but it improved almost 1.3 like that. And similarly, the yield improvement is also there. So provisioning service and ecosystem level services are also there. And carbon doesn't mean only carbon sequestration. Carbon means also the water holding. So we are talking about now that carbon credit and also that green water credit. So 2 things are now in our focus area. Government is asking us that how much should be the carbon credit if 1 ton carbon is conserved by farmers, whether there should be incentive and how much will be the incentive. So please guide us. So we are doing some ecosystem service calculation and valuation. And if carbon is increased, then how much water is actually conserved. So if that much green water credit, farmers should get that. In terms of production, you will get the benefit. But the farmer who is taking care of this green manure technology, he should get additional incentive of carbon credit and green water credit. Correct? So likewise, there are many others intervention like applications of the residues, mulch, and a lot of improvement is there. This data also shows like that. I'm sorry. Yes. So if in general, it is Dr. Ratan Lal's slide. If I increase 1 ton of carbon in the rhizosphere, there will be improvement of yields for different crops. And ecosystem service loss because of this carbon mismanagement, almost 6.3 to $10.6 trillion every year annually. But nature-based solution and sustainable land management, if action is taken, the ecosystem benefit is around 75.6. So almost, some people say that global level, 5 to 10 times benefit is there for action than the inactions, correct? But policy is needed, and what policy that will promote that activities, that we have to decide. So in a just avenues reaching the unreachable, that formation of a carbon mission is important, but national carbon mission will be definitely fine. Reallocations of fertilizer subsidy, because we are giving subsidies on nitrogen and sometimes potassium or phosphorus is stopped. But we should also think about the manures and fertilizers and physical aspect of the health, soil health, not just chemistry and the chemical aspect. Rehabilitating acid soils and summer fallow. Sometimes we say that zero tillage is good and always we are promoting zero tillage. But for some soils, summer fallow and summer tillage is also required. So that we have to take care, and where which soil needs that, we have to categorically land use wise, land management techniques should be designed and devised. So this empower and sensitize farmers. We can use all fellows, and that's why our purpose is the farmers participation community. These are the technologies available. You can do its benefits your generation, next generation, and next generation. So when you pass your land to other next generation, it will be in a very good condition, good health. Likewise, the situation is. So everybody's business is just to bring carbon from atmosphere to the soil or the vegetation, but it is not that easy. One way it will just come as input, and another way is just going back. So how we can conserve it and reserve it in the bucket, it depends on the level of input and some retention technology and outflow. So how we can reduce that outflow and increase that inflow, and retention technology, that technologies are there. This slide I want to show just there are different technologies and which have a global global warming potential in terms of kg equivalent. Here it is an all India level, different long-term experiments they were conducted in different agroecological regions. Then on the basis of that, this is the zero tillage and direct seeded rice is giving the minimum global warm potential in terms of equivalent carbon dioxide. Equivalent means we consider methane, nitrous oxide, and carbon dioxide. So zero tillage DSR, what is that? These are the technology, and nowadays equipments are available. Earlier the technology was not available, so there are some centers which are sharing also. Not that every farmer should need that tractor and this technology. In a panchayat level also 2 or 3 is going to help some 3-4 villages. So likewise there are technologies. This is that the green technologies, cover crop, strip crop, vegetative strip, intercrop, grass planting, bamboo in agroforestry. These all different technology has huge potential of carbon sequestration. If we don't apply, then there is a loss. But if we apply these technologies annually, altogether, somewhere 19 to 27 million tons of carbon can be sequestered. So where are the areas where this can be taken, and which area these technologies can be taken? This is very specific. And if we do that, then a lot of carbon can be sequestered. But we are not doing that. Even grain, after harvesting the grain, even we are removing the straw and the biomass. So it should be recycled back, because it's the right of the soil. Soil cannot speak, it has no mouth, but let us speak on behalf of the soil. We are not recycling back, and this is the critical limit of carbon. Around 1.5 to 3.5 ton of carbon should be recycled back. We know it, but we are not doing it. And then we are using as a fodder. So after fodder, cow dung should go to the field, but again, we are just using as a fuel. So all way the soil is deprived, and we expect that soil will function for us. How long? This is the question. And this is just optimization, a little bit technical. I am not, just 2 more slides are there. I will then stop. Here, see, this is a technology under umbrella program of NRM. This is by NABARD funded project. Between two rows of banana, they are growing maize. Okay, so intercrop is there. After harvesting the maize and the banana is almost 2 years crop. After 9 months, again after 6 months, 6 months. So 3 crop they can take, correct? It is not that every year. So after harvesting banana, these stems, the pseudo stems is used for fiber extraction. And this fiber is very quality and very costly. It is used as a bandage in medical science. This is very good material and very quality material. Some textile industries also use this. So if this fiber is extracted, then remaining part is decomposed, and after compost making, it is recycled back to that same. So this is actually land degradation neutrality. And there are solutions. It is not that there are not solutions, and there are green practices. And a lot of income generating activities are there. So needs some extractor, some supply chain, and some market and the policy. That's all. This is also another, see, there are some perennial crops. Okay, we grow annual crops, rice, wheat, like that every year, every season we grow and harvest. But there are some perennial wheats, and you see the root length. And this is the annual root length, and this is a perennial wheat root length. How much is the carbon in the subsoil they are adding through roots and decomposition of these roots? And quality grain produced by this perennial is not very good for wheat flour or bread purpose. But the same thing, if I convert it to some drinks like these beverages or some beer, then it is economically viable. So we have to just see the opportunities, business opportunities. But perenniality, where the protection is required, we have to give more emphasis on that land protection through perennial grains or some perennial pulses like pigeon pea is also there. There are many other options. So this I am coming to just conclude that poorly managed farms and degraded lands and natural resources are really an ecological, social, and economic liabilities. It's a tragedy for all, tragedy of commons, we call it. It is not just farmers or soil scientists or hydrologists are affected, or they are it's a concern of the few. It is open system, I said it, and how it is affecting you all realize it. If the residue is burned in Punjab, the Delhi flights are cancelled for months. So this is the tragedy of commons. The only problem is the possibility of land restoration, carbon sequestration, ecosystem services and all. This needs to be explored at national scale, and some credible data source should be created, which is really uncertain and very limited data is there. Without that, we cannot. Then how much is the potential of soil change through some green technology or green practices, and it is really followed by the farmers or not? Then we know the benefits of soil health upkeeping, then curbing land degradation, and some other benefits as I have already shown. So this all framework needs to be established and presented to the policymakers and Niti Aayog. In nutshell, I can say if we go by nature-based solution or green technology, there is about 19 to 27 million tons of carbon can be sequestered through green technologies, which is almost 25% of the total greenhouse gas emission by agricultural soil in India, which is 94 million tons. So this is all about from my side. Usually I ask a question when it is in physical mode. I target audience, I ask that what do you realize from this picture? So I get many answers, but I will not waste any time here. Just I'll say that my intention here is to show that this is arranged, these pots, earthen pots is arranged. It needs skill. See, even this the girl child on her head, one pot is there. She can even dance with this. But if you and I try, then there will be massacre. Everything needs some, say, it is actually the arrangement and attention. So please pay attention, and everybody cannot pay attention. So for that, skill is required. So say, for example, water harvesting, everybody is thought they can do water harvesting. But water harvesting needs a lot of knowledge. For that, some experts are there. So don't take it that banded technology and everybody is expert of everything. No, sorry. So that skill is required. Only a skilled person can pay attention where attention is required and how much attention is required. This is very simple, but anybody cannot arrange in that way. So for that, the challenge is, today's challenge is something different than normal Borlaug and Swaminathan, because today's challenge is not just produce and production, it is also environment, soil, water, biodiversity. So if we go by this, then we can make environment. This is also real picture. It is not fabricated picture and graphic. It is real picture. And thank you very much for your kind attention. I think I have taken little bit more time. For that, I am really sorry. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your deep knowledge with us. So now we are esteemed to have Professor Ashish Agarwal, Associate Professor, IIM Lucknow, who will surely be a great source of learning for individuals. Let me have the privilege to give a brief introduction about his academic accomplishment and the research attainments. Professor Agarwal has been working on issues related to sustainable management and public policy for more than 15 years. During this period, he has worked with academic and policy research organizations like University of Manchester, IIED, London, the Energy and the Resource Institute. He has successfully completed several research projects sponsored by World Bank, UNFF, JICA, DFID, GIZ, Government of India, various state government and multinational and public sector companies. He has advised central and state government and corporates on sustainable development, climate change, and corporate social responsibility issues in India. He is a receiver of 6th assessment report and contributing author to 5th assessment report of IPCC. Professor Agarwal has a PhD from University of Manchester and an MPhil from University of Cambridge, UK. Sir, please.
Thank you so very much for this nice introduction. First of all, let me thank you to Dr. Arpita Ghosh and IIM Sirmaur for giving me this opportunity to interact with you and the students on this very nice day, Earth Day, which is a very sort of auspicious day in a sense that it encourages us to think about where we are going, which way we are heading with all our activities, economic and other activities. All right, so without further ado, so let me, so I have been listening to very wise panelists and speakers, Dr. Ghosh, Dr. Mandal. Dr. Mandal has very nicely captured how soil conservation is related to the rise and fall of civilizations. And so let me just take you to a little different track. So what I intend to do is in the next 20-25 minutes or so is to take you to 2-3 arguments. First, I want to draw your attention towards the business area, what is happening in the corporate world on sustainability issues. And I would make an argument, broad argument, that business sustainability is actually, or sustainability is the new competitive advantage in 21st century. There are many things on price, quality, companies compete, but sustainability is the new advantage where companies are competing now. And I'll present my arguments why I intend to so why I feel that way. What are the policies changes which has happened in India and elsewhere on this front, especially from the business angle, why these changes are happening and what corporates are doing. So that's in a nutshell broad line of agenda which I'll take you through. If I can share my presentation quickly, I'll share my presentation and let me, could you, I'm not enabled. Dr. Ghosh, could you please?
I am just giving you the right. Please wait.
So, and let me also, in the meanwhile, my presentation is shared. So we have mostly talked about the environment part of sustainability, which is, in my view, is is good, but it also is a misnomer. So let me, from the very beginning, make a submission here. When I say sustainability, it not only means environmental bit of it, environmental sustainability, environmental conservation, but it also means the social aspect. It also means the economic aspect. As in the corporate world, we say triple bottom line approach. So very sort of most of the times we mistakenly think that the environmental bit is the only bit which is related to sustainability. So even social, if we're talking about human rights, we're talking employee rights in context of business organization, that's also sustainability. Fair wages, economic opportunities for the marginalized people, that's also sustainability. So bear in mind when I speak from a triple bottom line perspective, wherein all the triple E's, environment, equity and economics, or triple P's, people, planet and profits. All three matter equally, right? Okay, so let me share my presentation. Is my presentation visible? My screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So the argument or the thesis which I'm going to present is that sustainability is the new competitive advantage for 21st century in the corporate world. Let me straight away take you to some of the policy development which are happening very close to home and which reflect how significant sustainability has become, of course, for the public policies, for various kind of climate change policies and various kind of other in the public spheres. Not only that, but in the corporate sphere also, it has really, we have in last 5 to 7 years, we have taken many leaps to reach where we are today. So just some of the important ones. So SEBI has mandated reporting of the sustainability parameters for top 1,000 companies, which are the biggest companies in India, which are listed on BSE and NSE, Bombay Stock Exchange and National Stock. So it has become mandatory for these companies to report their performance on environment, social and economic criteria, triple bottom line every year. CSR, which is, I consider one part of sustainability, has become mandatory in India for a large size of companies, for certain size of companies since 2014. And then there are a lot of other very sort of path-breaking revolutions, corporate and industrial revolutions which are happening. So we see a lot of electric vehicle being pushed. So there are electric vehicle policy guidelines, FAME 1 and FAME 2, where all the big auto manufacturers are given incentives to move towards electric vehicles. There are draft resource efficiency guidelines, circular economy guidelines being proposed by Ministry and Niti Aayog. There is another big movement in the finance area which has happened. Now the lending, the funds are being screened for ESG criteria, which is environment, social and governance criteria. The size of these funds have grown to 12,000 crores last year in India. So now all the banks, financial institutions, they are lending to those companies who fulfill on these ESG criteria. And even Bombay Stock Exchange has initiated the new indices, which not only look into financial performance, but also onto sustainability performance. So these are some of the major developments which indicate that a lot has changed and a lot is happening on in the corporate sector on sustainability. Just to give you further elaborate, so electric vehicle markets, for example, it was valued at $5 billion USD in 2020. It is expected to reach around $50 billion in next 6 to 7 years. So you can imagine what kind of opportunities we are talking about, what kind of, just to mention one case, Ola Electric sold e-scooters worth 1,100 crores in just 2 days in India. So that is what we are talking about. And all of this electric vehicle and all are being driven by sustainability concerns, climate change concerns, and that is what is happening. So these were all the carrots or incentives which are being offered by the government. And there have been a lot of, as we call, sticks, disincentives, which were penalized, companies were penalized, not fulfilling their sustainability criteria. Volkswagen, for example, in India was fined 500 crores because they installed a cheat gate device which showed less emission than their actual emissions. So they were fined about 500 crores and they lost quite a lot of brand value across the world. The Vedanta Group's companies, Sterlite Copper, because they were polluting air and water in Tamil Nadu, Thoothukudi, there were a lot of protests. And finally, a company was not heeding to the concerns of the people, and that plant has to be closed, and with thousands of crores of losses. So this is in a nutshell what kind of incentives and disincentives are being offered to nudge the companies, to nudge the corporate behavior in a more sustainable way, right? So now this is what is happening. Why this is a little bit of why this is happening, why people are becoming, why societies are becoming more and more conscious of sustainability, more and more conscious about social and environmental and economic equity criteria. So there are various factors behind it. There are a lot of being research onto it. I would not go into much detail, but what I would like to submit here is there have been different kind of drivers which could be categorized into social, natural, and economic drivers. Social drivers are, for example, our populations are demographics. Our populations are younger, they are more educated, they are more socially connected through social media, and they're consuming more. They're consuming more. There are more cars in family. There are more air conditioners, refrigerators, so which is putting a lot of pressure on the natural resources. There is increasing demand of if you see the way the energy consumption in India has increased, has within a span of say just 15 years, 630 million ton oil equivalent, we will consume 1500 million. So we are consuming more and more, and we are putting a lot of pressure on the all kind of renewable and non-renewable kind of resources. And it matters more for of course non-renewable sources, fossil fuels and all. And of course in the society, inequalities are increasing, which is again putting a lot of pressure. Populations are becoming more and more younger, they are educated, they are more connected, and that is why expectations are increasing. There are all sorts of rights movements, right to information, right to education, right to clean air, which is putting a lot of pressure on the governments. For example, in Delhi, there is huge protest now on the quality of air. So which is a lot of which has brought sustainability in the at the forefront. Sustainability is no longer a distant idea; it's a living reality because of these issues. And then there are a lot of natural drivers. Climate change, nobody can deny it. IPCC reports are already gives solid, undeniable proofs, and which has happened. There is a lot of extreme weather events, floods, droughts happening everywhere. Western parts of the country, Jodhpur and all, they are getting flooded, which is very, very surprising. Forest, we are losing quite a lot of forest. Globally, we are losing around 10 million hectares every year. So air pollution, land degradation, ozone depletion. Dr. Mandal has talked about a lot already about soil conservation and soil degradation issues. So all these come into natural drivers, which are already impacting into our quality of life, which has started impacting. And then, of course, there are economic and business drivers. As I already told you, there are a lot of sort of losses to the companies because of the changing consumer preferences, because people now are preferring more and more. So we have all these 3-star, 4-star, 5-star ACs, refrigerators. So people are opting for more efficient products. And then there is more and more regulatory screws are being tightened by the government on emission norms, on pollution, on water pollution, and everywhere. So all in nutshell, the argument which I'm trying to make is because of all this different kind of drivers, sustainability has come to the forefront and has become a major agenda for the policymakers, not only in the public spaces, public policies, but also in the corporate sphere. Also, Comet has now framed a lot of policies in India and everywhere else. And this brings me to the idea, to the core idea, which all of us know, that just to emphasize that a lot of times we equate environment or environmental conservation to sustainability, which is a huge disservice to this area, because sustainable development or sustainability talks about triple E's, all three dimensions: social, environment, and economic, or in corporate parlance, we call it triple bottom line approach. So until and unless a corporate system, organization fulfill all three criterias, it's profits, planet, and people, it cannot be sustained. So that is one argument which so one has to. So based on this understanding only, so we are seeing policies not only in the environmental sphere, but you see business and human rights organization, we have come out with draft guidelines. A lot of things are happening on fair economic wages, um, sexual misconduct and penalties, different rules and regulations in all three spheres. Government is trying to, we are having policies, and there are a lot of opportunities. It's not that sustainability is a nice word to say just on Earth Days and Forest Days and Environment Day, but there is a huge economic opportunities which has come out with these regulations and these sustainability markets. So, for example, clean energy markets. We have clean tech market in trillions of dollars. So IFC has projected that there would be roughly 25 trillion market by 2030, which already is something 15 to 17 trillion. India is investing huge into solar energy, into wind energy, so there is huge investments going on globally in these areas. So there are, of course, a lot of regulations and disincentives, but there are a lot of opportunities as well for this. And as I was saying, so there is also in the financial sector, all the banks, financial institutions, Morgan Stanley's, your Axis Bank, your DBS Bank, all these banks, major banks, HDFC. So they are now screening the before lending to the companies. They are checking their sustainability credentials, and based on that, your interest rates are being decided. So these are called ESG criteria, ESG markets. So you would be amazed to hear that last year 12,000 crores of investments were screened on these sustainability criteria, ESG criteria. So, and of course, there is increasing norms for the products, for different kind of products, whether it's Bureau of Energy efficiency, star rating, cement quality, steel quality, everything is being now regulated by the government. What kind of. And now, just moving to the final bit of it, businesses also have responded. They also have understood that until and unless they respond to these sustainability challenges, they will not be able to survive. So big companies, multinational, GE, Unilever, Pepsi, Coke, they have already started working on these. And closer home also in India, as I've told you, top 1,000 companies have been required to report their performance. So a lot of initiatives have been taken. So there is a program started by GE called Eco-Magination, where they try to bring more and more efficiency to their jet engines, and so they invested a lot of R&D into that, and it has become a huge success. New, efficient, more efficient products, energy efficient, resource efficient products. There's a huge market for that. And so a lot of companies like IKEA, like ITC, like Wipro, what they have started doing is not only their own operations, but from to their suppliers, their value chain, supply chain, where they are procuring raw material, whether it's farmers, ITC is getting wheat for Ashirwad Atta, or any other big corporations like IKEA, which is procuring mats from Kanpur Dehat. So they are implementing supplier code of conduct on sustainability. Not only them, but their suppliers, their farmer, their supply chain have to ensure that they use sustainability standards and they come out with much better products. So better organic cotton, less water intensive things. So the huge corporations, they are putting this into their supply chain, and they are impacting. That is why all these Nike, Puma, Adidas, so they are impacting all these shoe factories, whether it is in China, Indonesia, or in India, or in Bangladesh. So they have to follow a code of conduct on, and they have to take care of sustainability parameters if they have to keep their business with the big firms, right? So Unilever again is the same. They have all the big they have the sustainability plan, sustainable living plan is the major sustainability strategy. They are also ensuring that all the their supply chain fulfills the sustainability criteria on triple bottom line, social, environmental, economic, and that is how they are impacting more than their, and they are reducing their water consumption, their waste they are trying to reduce, their carbon dioxide emission. So a lot of companies in India now have taken net zero emissions, although much more needs to be done, but a good start has already been made onto it. Okay. Now coming to the final bit of it, why I say that sustainability is the new competitive advantage for the companies. A, because if you want to try to be sustainable, you become more and more efficient on resource consumption, which reduces not only reduces your intake, resource intake, but also reduces your cost. So for example, energy, fuel, water. Walmart just saved 200 million per year by reducing packaging and 100 million miles of trucks. Just their logistic management. So it reduces cost. It creates, if you try to be more and more resource efficient, you come out more efficient products, you become more and more innovative. A lot of companies, you see, Arvind Eye Care to Toyota, they're coming with more efficient products, so they become more innovative. You try to cater to the social bit of it. You go to the larger markets, bottom of pyramid as we call it, markets which are not unserved, poor people, small 2 rupee pouches of yogurt, or good products, quality products at a lower cost to cater. Your brand reputation, your public image goes up. It minimizes the risks of future regulations, and it enhances the employee loyalty and retentions. And that is what is provides. If you try to be sustainable, or if you follow sustainability on people bottom line, you tend to be more competitive than your competitors, and that gets you the competitive advantage. And that's where I will stop. Yeah, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Professor Agarwal, for enlightening us about the business sustainability prospects and CSR, and all the issues of environment and how we can reach to sustainability, and how we can go for long-term business profit and long-term sustain of this business. So yes, we are thankful to all our speakers now for accepting the invitation for to speak in this seminar for awareness of the people. And I'm thankful to our administration for giving us this opportunity to host and to organize this seminar. I'm thankful to my faculty colleague, Dr. Neha Sharma, who who was agreed to moderate one session. And I'm thankful to all the staff and IT department mainly for helping me to for smooth conducting this seminar. I'm thankful to my CSEM RAs as well, research associate. And all the staff faculty here. Thanks to all the speakers. It was really wonderful to have to listen you all in respect of business sustainability. Dr. Mondal also told many things about the eutrophication, soil, topsoil, how to stop the soil erosion, to stop the soil degradation, because soil is of course another non-renewable resource like water. So without soil, our agriculture is going to lose, going to be lost. Now, so first in our first session, the speakers was Mr. Roshan Ranjan Jha from Tata Steel. Another speaker was Dr. Shruti Sharma from TD University and Mr. Arun Sharma from KPMG, so Wash Consultant. They also enlightened us about the business sustainability, CSR, and what their industry is doing about the business sustainability, all this prospect, and how we can go for a long-term business sustainability to, of course, to sustain the business as well and to sustain the world. So, planet, profit, and planet, people, and profit. So profit, planet and people both are happy and both are served well, then we can go for the long-term profit. So it should be the basic equation of every business. So without wasting any time, I'm concluding this session. I'm thankful to all the speakers, Professor Agarwal, from IIM Lucknow, Professor Dr. Devashish Mondal from ICA Dehradun in this second half. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.